What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. And I was the 2018 award winner in innovation given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Looking forward to another epic conversation tonight because I'm the host of Epic Conversations, and this is the place for epic conversations. And this gentleman is a friend, and I know he's just adjusting something right now, so I'm just going to give a little background and want to shout out to Danny Stone from Toronto, author of one of the authors of this book called New Me, 10 Stories of Perseverance. Oh, there we go. I had him on the conversation last night. Do pick it up. 10 great stories about Black men working together and overcoming and sharing their gifts with the world. Now let's focus on the gentleman who's beside me here, D.Channsin Berry. So I'm going to get him involved right quick. Mr. Berry, do you remember when we met?
Yes, sir. It was at first of all, thank you for having me on as your guest. I'm honored to be here with you again. You know, man, you're one of the few people I really, and I mean this when I say this, that I love having a conversation with. There are a lot of brothers I like speaking with and love speaking with, but I love the way you come at me. So I just, I love it. So thank you for doing what you do for us.
Well, it's appreciated and not taken for granted. And I respect you highly. And ever since we first met, which we'll get into right now. Do you remember where we first met?
It was the Toronto Film Festival. We were there. Bill Duke and I were there, and we were premiering Dark Girls, the first Dark Girls.
Yes.
And that was 2000.
What year?
Oh, 11, 12?
You're 2011. You are right on.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
You are right on. It was 2011 that we first met in September.
Yes. Yes. And you were in the audience at a panel discussion that I was on panel with, along with Bill and a couple of the filmmakers. And then I came down off the stage and we met and we spoke. And after that, it was dinner, talk, yes. and friendship.
Yeah. And I remember we went to dinner at a restaurant.
Jamaican restaurant.
Yes. Well, we went to dinner to two restaurants.
True. That's very true.
Because we went to one that was close to where the film festival was being done.
That's right.
And we were talking, and then you said to me, Doc, hold on a minute. And you went to your hotel.
That's right. That's right.
and I feel bad. I don't remember what you brought me, but you brought me either a book or something. Mm-hmm. And I was so humbled because here's a man I've not known more than an hour.
That's right.
Who's running from a dinner to get me something that would help my life.
Yeah.
And I just said, wow. And then I think the next night we went to a restaurant and hung out with each other. And the chef just basically said, whatever you want. And we actually recorded a podcast that evening that's still alive and well on the website.
Really?
Yes. If you want, I can send you the link after we
finish.
My
God, I would love to see that again.
Well, we are content creators and documenters. So it came up in a conversation, one of my live epic conversations this week. I said, yeah, I still have it. And I sent it out to a bunch of people going, what?
Yeah, man, that would be great to see that. I mean, it wouldn't be so good to see how much I've aged, but it would.
Well, you know what? Wisdom. Your wisdom has increased.
Oh, so it's not stress for my kids. So
well, we could go on about 2011 up to now, but let's just talk about why we're here tonight. Chan, as I like to call him, he allows me to call him, is produced Dark Girls 2. Now, for those who don't know about Dark Girls 1, do you want me to share about that? You know what, Chan? What do you want to share about Dark Girls 1, and then we'll move to Dark Girls 2?
Well, I was just finishing up working with the director. I was producing the Sam Cooke documentary, Crossing Over for American Masters, PBS here in the States. And I was working with director John Antonelli, who's a friend of mine up in San Francisco. And I was here at my house in LA. We just wrapped that up as me producing on that. And I got a call from actor Bill Duke. And Bill said, you know what, man, I think we should do something on dark skinned women. And we had a conversation about it and went into a whole thing about what's the reason why we should do it. And we started off with ourselves first. Being two dark skinned men who were two little dark skinned little boys growing up back east. He grew up in Poughkeepsie. I grew up in East Orange, New Jersey, and North New Jersey. And being treated the way we were treated as little dark skinned little boys, it wasn't a good time for us, especially for me. You know, too dark, too thin, too ugly, too nappy headed, that sort of thing. And it did something to me in terms of my self esteem. So I could, we took that of what we knew and we said, well, it must be even worse for sisters. And it hasn't gotten any better at that particular time. So we got together, we had a couple of meetings at my house and came up with Dark Girls.
Wow. And actually, life for me, a lot of times life is decisions and moments. And I remember during the 2011 film festival walking on Front Street, and I had my cell phone in my hand and it rang. And usually I don't answer phone calls from numbers I didn't recognize. And I said, you know what? Let me just pick this up. And I remember, could I speak to Dr. Vibe, please? I go, this is he. This is Bill Duke. I almost dropped down in the middle of the street and, and had a heart attack. How you doing? And I just said, and it was one of those moments that you never forget
Mhm.
for myself. So I say thanks for keeping the communication and friendship going. Um, so Dark Girls One actually premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival.
It did. It
And
really did.
how did that come about to promote a movie of that type of content? How was it a hard get?
No, we were invited. The gentleman who's a brother who was
Cameron
in
Bailey?
Cameron
Yes.
contacted us and said he wanted it. And whatever we had to do to get it there,
Wow.
he wanted it. So we were thrilled, and we were not thinking about any film festival at the time. We were just thinking about getting the film done.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we got it done like 3 days before
What?
the premiere. We got it done 3 days before,
Wow.
and we flew up
Toronto.
to Toronto and had I think we had five screenings, five,
Yes.
and everyone was sold out completely, which
Yes.
shocked the hell out of me and Bill because we didn't think that it was a small film with a lot of heart and a lot of passion and hopefully a lot of healing. But we didn't expect to get the outpour of support and love that we got in Toronto, and it just set us on fire and set the rest of the tour, which became a tour
Mm-hmm.
and became one of the best viewed documentaries of our time because of
Wow.
Toronto.
Well, we're thankful we had the opportunity to be part of a success story. Uh, how easy did the OWN network come to you, both of you, about getting it on in their programming?
We had a go between.
Okay.
There were a couple of a couple of outlets that were interested, but nobody really came through with the proper, respectful bid. So There was BET had come through, and their bid was so low that it was insulting.
Oh,
Um, and then Oprah, someone in her camp saw it and gave it to Oprah. She saw it and signed off, said, yes, we must have this. And that's how we got the deal on OWN. And I think it premiered June 23rd,
okay.
that June 23rd. Yeah.
And I've sort of gone out of step on what I usually do because when we first have friends, especially, well, for me, you're not a new friend, but for the audience, you're a new friend. I asked them to give some of their background. So, folks, I'm going to pivot before we get into Dark Girls 2 to have Chan share some of his story because I say this respectfully. When he shared with me some of his journey, I call him a true Renaissance man because of all the different opportunities that he has generated for himself and others. So, Chan, if you can give some background, share a little background about yourself with your audience, where you were born. So, can you mention one or two projects that you were involved in? Maybe some of the other not only film projects but musical projects that you've been involved in your time.
Oh man, you put a
Just,
brother on the spot, man.
no, just some, brother, not all of them. I know the list. We could take up the whole hour just with that. But where were you born?
I was born in Newark, New Jersey in 1959. Matter of fact, February 17th is my birthday. Um,
Wow. Okay.
moved to California in '83. Moved to the Bay Area. I was in radio for a very long time, but before I was in radio, I was a musician. Um, as a kid, I played drums and love music. And I thought that I would probably be a musician or some type of actor. Um, but I knew what I wanted to do when I was 9 years old. I knew that.
So what you knew what you wanted to do at 9 years old. What was your family's response to you wanting to be a musician from 9 years old?
Um, what are you, crazy? I come from a working class, African American, low middle class family from New Jersey. My dad and my mom worked very hard to put my sister and I through education. I ended up going to and graduating from Rutgers University in New Jersey, which I'm very proud of, and studied radio and television and film. But I always had a deep interest in music and film and television, very, very deep interest. I remember being a little boy and watching the black and white movies with my grandmother.
Mm.
God rest her heart. On South 12th Street in Newark, New Jersey. And she was a big fan of Betty Davis and Earl Flynn and Orson Welles and that sort of thing. And that stuck with me. Who's this little black boy, who's walking around talking about, um, Orson Welles and, who's he talking about? He knows movies of Frank Capra and that sort of thing. It wasn't the thing that we normally talked about in the African American neighborhood, you
No.
know, during the '60s. But that was my head was. I was in music, and I loved hearing my first jazz record was Blues for Pablo by Miles Davis,
Oh my.
and I had that came out in 1959, the year I was born. But I didn't hear that until '65, '66. That was the first record I heard, jazz record. So that was a big influence with me, along with watching the old films, black and whites, with my grandmother, and then watching a lot of television as a kid, and then listening to music all the time and listening to radio.
So where did the artistic flair in your life? Were your parents at all involved in the arts?
Not at all. My parents were so far from that. I'm the only one. I was the different little black boy in the family. I'm not. I wasn't the black sheep, but I was. different. You know, I was quiet. I was kind of shy. I had a best friend who's still my best friend till today.
Nice.
We met at 5 and 6 years old. So we kept each other company. We were interested in the same things. We made our first film movie probably in 73, 71, somewhere between 71 and 73. It was a Bruce Lee kind of a karate movie we did in my backyard. And that was my first, our first thing really kind of doing our little independent movie thing.
Okay, a few things I want to ask quickly.
Mm.
First of all, what did your parents and your grandmother instill in you that you carry on today?
That I was made in the image of God and that I had purpose on the planet and that I was supposed to be a part of the healing process.
Mm. What can you expand about the healing process?
Well, I didn't really know what that meant
Okay.
until later on when, because I'm okay. I'm kind of a super sensitive human being. Some people said probably when I was growing up, I was a little bit too sensitive. Um, but that's just the way I'm wired. I'm an artist. I'm super sensitive. Everything affects me, you know. Um, I love being Black. I love being who I have become. I love people, especially people who look like us. I support deeply to my soul people who look like us. And also, I support good people, also, period. But I really love Black folk. I love what we do, how we do it. I love the energy. I love the future of us. I love the past of us. I love the potential of us. And I see it all, you know. And sometimes it breaks me down emotionally to know that we're not where we should be, but I believe we will get there. But while I am here, I understand what my purpose is on the planet and that it's about healing through the gifts that God has given me to share with everybody else. So it's not about me. It's about you guys. It's about everybody. It's not about me. It's what God gives me to give to you through music and film and as a director and as a producer and as a writer. And I just love it.
Another thing I want to highlight, especially in regards to men,
Mm.
you've had your best friend for since how long? Grade five? You did say 5, 6, 4, 5, 6.
I was 5. I met him when I was 5 years old. He was 6 years old. And I moved into the neighborhood at 5 and we became instant friends. And he's 62 and I'm 61.
Wow.
My best friend.
I and I know people say, "What does this have to do with that?" This is part of the journey, and I think it's very important because um, can you just from your heart speak to how Black men need each other and what do they need to do to
Man, listen, there's a documentary I did some years back called The Black Line Profile of the
yes,
African American Female,
yep,
African American Male. Matter of fact, that's what I gave you.
yep,
I gave you a copy of that.
yep.
Um, it was me and it's went out and interviewed a bunch of brothers to see what it is to be who we are. And actually, I was just trying to figure out if I was crazy or not. Because I had been thinking and feeling this way all my life about being who we are. And I was like, am I alone in feeling and thinking how we are? So I just went out across the country and asked brothers, about careers, education, parenting, sexuality, church, religion, Christianity, Islam, um, entertainment, music, women. and came back with something that I really, really loved. You know, so it's important, man. I'm really invested, spiritually, soul deep invested in bringing out our best and showing our flaws because we need to know that in order to heal, we have to understand that we have issues first. Just understanding that we have the issue, recognize it, and then we can heal from that. But we have to recognize that we have an issue.
Right.
And a lot of people don't want to talk about it. They just want to kind of sweep it under the rug. And I can't do that. I can't do that. That's not what I'm here for. So, like many uh, men I meet who look like us, who are willing to basically lay their life on the line to tell the truth about who we are and where we need to be, who we need to become.
Nice. Just want to put it out there. We got some people watching on Periscope. One of the people, Sugar Bogar, is watching on Periscope. Danny Stone was watching on the Get Vocal platform. He's now watching on Facebook, and he's saying, "I love what God gave him to give to the world," and also, "Wow, 3 days before, that's amazing." So Danny Stone is a fan, my man.
Danny,
All right. So, can you just highlight some of the musical projects you've been involved with? Then we'll get to Dr.
oh man, Doc, why you do this to me?
Because I know you'll show up.
Man, okay, man.
I know
Uh,
two of them. I know you've done something with Shaka Khan.
yeah, I mean, I had been writing, trying to write music forever. I started as a little boy. And I've been writing since I was probably 12, 13 years old, writing songs, but I was always hiding them, never letting anybody, except for Eric, to see and hear what I thought. But it wasn't until I was probably 30, 31
Wow.
that I finally let somebody hear what I was writing. And that was Rosie Gaines.
Oh yes.
I moved from New York to Oakland, and Rosie and I became best of friends. And I was friends with Shaka at the time also because I had been in radio and met a lot of people, and I knew a lot of people from concert days and hanging around in clubs in New Jersey and New York and that sort of thing, in concert halls. I was a concert rat as a little boy and a teen. And so anyway, I moved to Oakland, formed a relationship with a lot of musicians in the Bay who I love still today. And this was before Rosie got with Prince. And I had written this song called Joy and Pain. And actually it was for Shaka. But I had not seen Shaka in a few years. I knew she was in LA, but I had no way of getting in touch with her at the time. So I gave the song to Rosie. And I've been thinking anything of it. She said she loved it. Oh, Chad, this is so funky. This is bad. Da, 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 da. So that was my first song. And then next thing I know, um, I was in my apartment on a rainy night. It was a Thursday night. And I got a call about 11 o'clock California time. And it was Rosie. And I said, hey, babe, how you doing? It's like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. She said, sit down. I said, what? So I said, all right, I'm sitting down. She said, Prince just cut your song. I said, what? She said, no, I'm serious. We're right here in the studio. We just finished cutting the song. Prince just cut your song. And I was, and I don't know if I can say what I said on camera, but
Say what you want.
all right, I'll be honest. I was like, you know what? I said, and she said, no. And here he is. We put him on the phone.
Oh,
And so we spoke on the phone. He said, man, nice song, nice funky song. And he said, I kind of changed some things a little bit, and hope you don't mind, but it's great. It's gonna be a hit for Rosie. And then we spoke about it a few more minutes, and Rosie get back on the line. I'm like, I'm stunned. I'm stunned. And then she tells me that in Prince's version, he did a version, she did a version, and then on one of his versions, Miles Davis was playing some trumpet solo.
Oh wow.
So, but that, I think that's still in the vault. But anyway, go on that Rosie cuts the song for her album on Paisley Park, distributed through Warner Brothers. And by this time, by 6 months later, I had moved to L.A. Work. I got a call to work for Disney Studios. So I came to LA, worked for Disney Studios, and I got a call, and it was Rosie again saying that, we're going to put the song out, but Prince is having some problems with Warner Brothers, and the Paisley Park and Warner Brothers split. So
Yep.
the album got shelved, and so I took the song back with Prince's revisions on it and gave it to Shaka, and now the song is called Pain. So
Okay.
Shaka got it.
Wow.
So it came out on Shaka did it, and David Gamson, my
Yes.
great producer from Squeaky Politi.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. Hold on. Nothing just happens because I listen to NPR a lot,
mhm.
and they're doing a series on NPR called um, One Hit Wonders, Second Best Songs.
Mm.
Actually, today they did a profile on Scritti Politti.
Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
the
David
funny thing is,
Gamson.
he has there's his song Perfect Way.
Yeah, yeah.
But the lady who was doing the segment, there's another song that I thought that she would have picked called Would Be's.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
she didn't pick that song. And the song she picked, I go, I don't think it's a second best song, but just interject. Like nothing just happens, but that name came up today when I was listening to NPR.
All names of all artists that would come up. Yeah,
Yes, of all names.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
sorry.
yeah, no worries. So David produced this album on Shaka that was like 12 songs, and it then it got shelved. Then they, for some reason, but it was a great album. But so Pain never came out on that, but it came out on the soundtrack for Living Single, Living
Yeah.
Single. So yeah, so it came out on that. So then I went on to write some stuff for jazz artist Mary Stallings, and then one my partner, writing partner at the time, John Prue, and I got a Grammy nomination, and Nancy Wilson won the song album of the year for jazz for a song we wrote called "These Golden Years" for Nancy Wilson. It was her last jazz studio album before she passed away. And she won a Grammy on that.
Wow. That's just the tip of the iceberg, folks. We're gonna shut down the music vault for another time now.
Yeah.
So let's jump back to Dark Girls. Now, Dark Girls 1, obviously the response was overwhelming.
Amazing. Absolutely just amazing.
And now we're at Dark Girls 2.
Yes.
When did you start the engine going to get Dark Girls 2 going?
It started when Bill and I parted ways, which was probably 6 months after the tour.
Okay.
Um, Bill went his way, I went my way. He went on to do Light Girls and also write a book called Dark Girls. And I went on to do The Black Line and another thing called The Church House, Sexuality in the Black Church. His way, I went my way. So then I kept thinking about there needs to be a part two to Dark Girls because there's so many doors that were open that need some response. And considering that women across the world were still dealing with colorism, I
Yeah.
thought it was, a position for me to take up the mantle and do a part two called Dark Girls Part Two, Deep, Dark, and Divine, uh, the journey to healing. So it was easy, man. Painful, but easy um, to know that women were still dealing with this issue, 5 years, 4 years after we did Dark Girls. One. So this particular um, project took me to Ghana, Antigua, and throughout the states here. But it was the deepest thing that happened to me happened in Ghana, in Accra, outside of Accra, in the slave dungeons, um, Cape Coast, and it was life changing. Every time I go to the continent, it's life changing. But this particular trip I had been avoiding for 30 years because of the slave dungeons and the door of no return. Me being the person, the human that I am, and the sensitivity that I have for, and the empath that I am, I didn't want to deal with that. But God said it was time for me to go. And so, because of my sister, Oprah Winfrey, um, she had blessed me with the finance and the trust to go and take my crew. So I went. And by having this deep emotional experience, when I got to the door of no return with my camera crew, and I was with a consultant, Dr. Cheryl Grills, who's a professor here, and we did a little private ceremony of us coming back to Africa and that sort of thing. And it was so emotional. I broke down into tears. I had to be lifted up
Mm.
and led to the door itself. And at that door, this is how I explain it, Doc. I never felt before my birth and my death at the same time.
Wow.
Being at the door of no return, damn near to the day that I left. We were there August 2019, 400 years, 1619 August. I returned to where I began.
Mm.
And it was so emotional and spiritually breaking for me that it has changed my life and also changed the trajectory of the film of Dark Girls 2. I'm a different human being now. I'm a different man now. I'm a different husband now. I'm a different father now to two black boys. I'm a different artist now. Sonia, poet Sonia Sanchez told me one time, she said, Chan, you're no longer a filmmaker. I said, yes, sister, I am. I'm a filmmaker. She said, no, 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 no. From this point on, you're an image engineer.
Wow.
Changed my life. Made me responsible for the images I put on screen. Made me responsible for the image I put on screen of us.
Wow.
So having these experiences, Doc, awakened another layer of me that I didn't know existed as a human being. Allowed me to go into spaces and places in myself that I didn't know existed, so I could bring out spiritual ancestral things to put in this film and to put in the rest of my life going out of here.
Wow. This is really, and I can somewhat relate, but not directly relate. As I said before we went on live, that I've just come back for a week in the Northwest Territories with the Indigenous culture,
Yes,
and it's affected me for the rest of my life.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
I can only imagine if I'm blessed to have the opportunity to go to Ghana, that will just take it a level deeper.
It's something that every black person needs to do. Every black person, regardless if you're here in the States or you're in Canada or you're in the islands, you need to take this trip. It'll be life changing for you. especially for African Americans, because we have such a disconnect, but for a very good reason. I think Christianity and colonialism have been the worst things that ever happened to us, from my perspective.
Okay.
From my perspective, but that's a whole other thing.
Because you can tell that Chan has a diverse thought process, but we've got to stick on the dark girls tonight.
Yeah.
So Chan, how did you approach Dark Girls 2 differently than Dark Girls 1? If you did have a different approach, I have a feeling you did, but I'm not going to make the assumption.
I wanted to find out what healing possibly looked like for sisters. What does it feel like? What does it look like? So what I did was I went out searching for methods of healing, possible healing. And what I did was I actually involved myself in those particular therapies to see if they worked on me first. And I went through probably 6 or 7 different therapies, different kinds of therapy: talk therapy, hypnotherapy, psychotherapy, massage therapy, all kinds of things, yoga, to see what they did for me in terms of healing myself and my self-esteem and my issues that I still carry to this day. And I found many worked for me. So I put those things into the film and found out that when women or people watching the film could find a combination, or maybe just one thing, maybe it's all 7 things, maybe it's 2 things, maybe it's 3 things, maybe it's 4 things, they could combine and to get to be their highest self. So these interviews in Ghana with women I did are going to drop you to the floor. The interviews I did in the States and in Antigua were to drop you to the floor. I mean, it's just amazing some of the things the sisters are still dealing with of darker and lighter complexion.
And I just want to encourage our people watching on different platforms here live. And if anyone has any questions, any comments, please feel free to share. I'll share those comments with Chan if you have any questions for him. Like we have people watching on Facebook, on Periscope, on Get Vocal, on YouTube. And I appreciate your support. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. But again, if you have any questions or comments, please share. Chan, was it hard to get women to be part of Dark Girls 2?
Not at all. I think there were enough people who knew about Dark Girls 1 or had heard about it, maybe never saw it, but heard about it or something about it. But, more people knew about the issue of colorism
Yes.
than the film itself. So it was easy to have a conversation with women, light, dark, brown, and white women, about colorism, and to have them to gift us their stories. So I kind of use the MCI plan, friends and family. Kind of call, hey, somebody wants to talk, and that's what I do with all my films. I call people around the country, around the world, and say, hey, do you know somebody who wants to talk about da 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 da? And usually people respond favorably to it. So it's a blessing.
Nice. Very, very nice. Uh, this took some time to get done.
Mm.
What were some of the challenges along the way that you're comfortable in sharing with us? Went from the time the idea started to now we're getting close to the first screening date, which is coming up on the 19th of February.
Um, it's always, hard kicking off a project as being independent here in Hollywood. I'm not a Hollywood person, as you could probably know by now.
Yep.
Um, we have different ways of looking at things, Hollywood and I. I believe that there are voices that need to be heard um, from people who look like us through documentary film. And Dark Girls proved that it became one of the most successful documentaries in the history of film, and made money. So, when people show up at theaters, around the country, around the world, and pack them out at 2,000 or 3,000 seats to see a documentary, God is saying something.
Mm.
Um, so, it always starts out with me going in my pocket and my wife smacking me like, "Are you crazy? Get out of that bank account." So I like, well, dear, I'll put it back. I'll put it back. And so I usually go in my pocket because I know what I want to do. And then I did a little bit of a Kickstarter thing and got a few dollars there. And then one day, um, this is the blessing. I went by to see um, Icon, our friend Sidney Poitier. He
Oh,
was
wow.
he wasn't doing well, and I asked Sister Oprah to accompany me with that, and we had been doing that together once a year, going by and doing what I call a love drive-by on Sydney. And this particular time, last April, we usually do it around our birthdays. Her birthday's in January. She's an Aquarian. I'm in February, and then Sydney's at 2 days after me, 3 days after me. And so we usually do it around February. But this time, Oprah's schedule didn't gel up, so we did it in May. I mean, in April. So we were leaving Sydney's, and we got to the porch, and I said, "Sis, I really we need to talk." She said, "Yeah, we need to talk." She said, "Why don't you come up for lunch? I'm off the whole month of May. I'm just working from the house." And I said, "Okay, do that." So next couple of weeks, we got together and worked out schedules, and I went up there on a Friday, and just her and I had lunch, laughing and going deep and tearing up together. And she asked me what I was working on, and I said, I had my little knapsack with me, and I took out a little piece of paper, and she just sat there and went through all the projects, and she's like on a table like this, and listening to me my spiel, and then she said, out of nowhere, she said, "I'll give you the money."
Wow.
And I said, "What?" I said,
And
"Wait." I said, "Wait a
another
minute." And I
print.
said, "No." Wait. I said, "Wait. No, 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 no." She said, I said, "No, no, no, you can't do that." I said, "If OWN or Harpo, your business entities, want to get down with me, let's do it that way." She said, "No, I want to do this." Like, "No, you can't do this. You're going to do this." So she started tearing up. I started tearing up. And she wrote a brother a check
Right there.
right there.
Wow.
That's how I finished Dark Girls. And that's
Right,
how premiering
right,
on OWN on April 1st.
right there. She wrote the check.
She did a bank deposit.
Wow.
And man, listen, it took me, and this is truth, it took me about a month in therapy to get over that. It really messed me up. But it just showed our sister and brotherhood that we have. We love each other like that. And I was never expecting anything from her because we've been friends for like over 5 years, and I've never asked her for anything. Never. And I never would. And she just decided that this is what she wanted to do for me. And I've been so humbled by it. And, I just can't say thank you enough for her. But that's what she does. She's that kind of a person, man. She does things like she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want me to put her name on anything. And I had to put her name on the document. Like, thank you. Thank you. But, that's my sister.
Where would Dark Girls 2 be if that moment didn't happen?
I would not be talking to you right now about it premiering in the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
We're going on tour to 10 cities and 2 countries. and the premieres on, like I said, April 1st. I would not be having this conversation with you if it wasn't for Sister. I would not have gone to Africa if it wasn't for Sister.
Wow.
She paid for that trip. Hey man, I cried. I can't tell you how many times I cried, and my wife cried. And very few people. This is the first time publicly I'm saying this,
Thank you.
because people.
Thank you for sharing it here. And it's as I said, and it's something I learned from my indigenous community brother and sister, and that I can provide a safe and brave space for you to share that.
Yeah. So you know, Sister in my book has always been there for us and for me as a black man, and she continues to be there. And but it wasn't if it wasn't for her, this project would never been done the way it was done. I would have finished it sooner or later, but it wouldn't have been like this for
Wow.
sure.
Wow. Um, Danny Stone has a question, and after what you just said, I don't know if I should bring it up now. Danny, I'm going to park it a lot to the end, but it's so related to what Chan just shared, so I won't forget your question. So, Chan, how is number 2 different than number 1?
Once again, it's about the healing process. When one was about the exposure of the issue and the stories of pain and what women were going through and what some men were putting them through, this one takes another turn towards the healing process, what the healing process can look like for sisters if you just take these steps or this one step or these few steps. There's still stories of pain and glory.
Yep.
Beautiful stories with the gorgeous women. And there are a lot of teens in this one. Oof. A lot of teen high school girls in this one that will break your heart.
What were the story are the stories different? Now, and I know the first one. I remember the first one. It, I guess because it's healing, do you feel that the audience will have a deeper resonance?
Yes, for sure, for sure. And
Compare.
also, it would give a pathway or show a pathway to possible if someone in the audience is looking at this and say, well, damn, there is a way out of not feeling like this and thinking that I'm just alone. They're not alone. And that, my biggest phrase is that God has not made, he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't make mistakes.
So you say that there are more teens featured in this
Yes.
number 2. What are your thoughts about what they're going through in their future after having conversations with teens, more teens, younger black women?
Well, it was shocking the fact that these girls, young girls, were still going through this in 2019. That's 2020. It's just shocking that young girls who are 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 still going through this. And I'm like, really? And yeah, it's strong. It's strong, especially in Africa, especially in the Caribbean, especially in India. In India with the men, skin bleaching creams. It seems that nobody wants to be what God made them. You got white folks who want to be dark. You got black folks who want to be light. You got sisters who don't want to have their natural hair. You got white women who are trying to get natural hair, have the natural hair to be afros and wear cornrows and all that sort of thing. Nobody wants to be what God meant them to be. Everyone wants to be something else what the other is, thinking that the other is better. Not all.
No,
Not
many.
all. But there are many. Too many. No one seems to be respectful of what God has done for them and what God made them for a very good reason. He gave you melanin in your skin to protect you from where you come from. And you want to take that away and expect to live without disease? I'm in Africa, in the Congo, and I'm having conversations in villages where people are buying skin whitening creams off the side of the roads, and in these plastic bags, and they're going back to their villages and putting it on, and then going to the rivers and washing it off their faces. And as that stuff flows downriver, people are drinking it and downriver, and consuming that in their clothing and their food. What do you think that's doing? Because those women have developed skin cancers now. So what do you think about when you ingest that as a drink, or cook with that, or wash with that? What do you think that does to the environment and to one's body, mind, soul, and spirit? So there's a big issue going on with us not understanding our strength and who we are and what we are. Like I said before, I'm having a bit of a problem with colonialism and Christianity, which is a whole other subject, but it needs to be talked about. People are not hearing God for what God is saying. People are listening to man and not studying it for themselves.
What you just described there was just it's making me shake my head. That's
It's heart,
just
it's heartbreaking, man. It's heartbreaking that no wonder we have the issues that we do, because we don't love ourselves. We don't understand our strength.
without getting too deeply into the movie. What were some reasons why women said they were using these products to get lighter?
They said they would get better jobs, be better equipped to deal with um, higher wages because they were lighter, they were prettier. Um, so, to what they were telling me is that, because there's a lot of hair weaves in Africa, lots, and that their natural hair was not good enough, and their dark skin was not good enough. So they needed to put this straightened hair into their own, which takes out their hair, which leads to what is it called, alopecia, and where it takes out women's hair, and leaves blotches, and then you've got the skin lightening situation going on, and it's just like, wow, you really don't understand how beautiful you really are, and you tell me that you believe in God. And how could you believe in God when you're trying to change yourself? I
Mm.
mean, listen. I mean, everybody wants to be the most beautiful self. I get that, and we all do things to beautify ourselves. But going to the extent of changing your physical self, your skin, your complexion, and that's just, and then to end up looking darker and rashed, and to develop skin cancer, was it really all worth it?
Mm.
Was it really all worth it? Because what nature's proven to you is that that doesn't work for you. That's why you have the skin rashes, the darkening of the skin even more. And then you have to go, if you have money enough, to go to laser surgery to get those dark marks and those rashes removed. Horrible cycle, horrible cycle, horrible psychological cycle.
How big of a business is this?
Billions, billions in Jamaica, in Antigua, Trinidad, the continent, Africa, here in the States. It's nuts.
Did the women that you spoke with, did they have any concerns or bad feelings that they were doing this? Did they feel any guilt?
Yes, yeah. Because I had to ask, I had to probe.
Yeah.
Like, what, and you call yourself a God-fearing woman, and you're telling me that God made a mistake on how you look, and that He gave you this color to protect you in this kind of sunny environment, so you could last, survive, live, thrive, be happy. And you want to take that away and kill yourself by eliminating the melanin in your skin? This is a sickness. This is a sickness that has been talked about, you know, all over, and that, being white is being better. Looking white is being better. Being lighter is being better. Having finer hair is being better. Having the body shape of a white woman is being a European woman is being better. People don't understand that you're the first people. That people want to be like you. They want your butt. They want your lips. They want your hips. They want your color, and you don't want that. It's deep, man. It's real deep, and I think that there's a therapy session that needs to be had, which leads me to my next documentary I'm doing called "The Covered Mind: Mental Illness and the African American Community." Part one on children, part two on adults. So I just started doing that one, and that is so deep because I need to get to the bottom of this. That
Well, you know what? I if there's any help you need with that one, I could provide perspective on African American and African Canadian dads and mental health.
Yes, for sure.
That's a whole section in itself.
Yeah, man. This film I'm working on right now. Ooh wee! Oh my God. This probably will be the deepest film I've done in the 16, 17 films I've ever done. But this will be the one that will shut people's mouths.
How are black men that you speak with or get the opportunity to speak with, what are their reaction to the whole creaming and colorism?
Well, we're part of the issue. We're part of the problem. Not all of us, not all of us, but some of us are part of the problem. By never, by media and looking at advertising and on television and looking at the women that are portrayed uh, as being lovely, beautiful, sexy women. It started with, for a lot of brothers, men started with Playboy magazine. You know, when you're looking at your little boy looking at Playboy magazine, you're seeing all white women, unclothed, and that's the standard of beauty. When you turn on television, you're seeing blonde hair, blue-eyed white women. That's the standard of beauty. So, not looking at your mother, looking at what's on television, what's popular, what's on the magazine covers. So maybe that's what you go after, thinking that that's the thing that you want, that will bring you love, success, and a good-looking family. Um, and then everybody strives to be and look like that. The interesting thing about the fashion industry, and I talk to women about this all the time, and I talk to brothers about this, is that the fashion industry dangles a carrot in front of women 4 times a year, every season. There's a color change, there's a size change, there's a dress change, there's a body shape. And none of those things have nothing to do with the shape of our women. Our women are not shaped like that. So there are certain women out here that say, you know what, I want that look. I want to be like that size. I want those kinds of hips. I don't want these hips. I want no hips. I want these kinds of breasts. I want that kind of face, that kind of nose. But it's until recently, that women, the fashion industry now, has come into, saying, well, you know what? Alex Weck, the African model, I think she was from Sudan, she's Sudanese, something like that, but she was gorgeous. And so she kind of busted open that whole thing with being deep, dark, black and look gorgeous on a runway in Paris in front of white folks, and then making the covers of magazines. And then we have Viola Davis, who starred in the Murder Show on ABC,
How to get
and
a
you
murder.
know, how to get away with murder. And Viola popped the door open, along with a few others. You know, that a sister with dark skin, Whoopi Goldberg, other people, who could, Lupita, uh, you know, you could be on television, on major magazines, win awards, and have a voice, and be intelligent, and be a dark skinned woman. So those women have, helped um, bust the door down. Cicely Tyson, and others have helped.
Nice. What are the thoughts that you've encountered in the black community in general about the whole colorism, using the cream issue? Because obviously you spoke with women that say, this is what we got to do. The men maybe are not as supportive as they could be, many of them. But what do you think? Is this it's always a bubbling issue. It's never really come to the real fruition I think it needs to. And this is where a film like Dark Girls 2 will take it to where it needs to go. But outside of that, do you feel blacks as a people are addressing it at all?
We are addressing it. I think that the first film we did, Dark Girls One, opened up the box to conversations. I remember traveling around the country and having these premieres with the first one, and having these super therapy sessions with the audience of 2 or 3 thousand, 4,000 women on stage, and it was like a living room. It was like my living room, and me just sitting there on stage and having a conversation with women, listening to sisters speak of their pain and glories of being who they are. Because not all dark skinned sisters have a problem with being, or all light skinned sisters don't have a problem with being who they are. They're very strong and firm in what they are and have no issues whatsoever. But there are many who do. And being able just to listen and to have a conversation, and then have women contacting me later on saying that they had conversations in the car on the way back from the theater, and continue to have conversations weeks and days and months and years on in classrooms and college classrooms, and that sort of thing, and sororities having issues and having talks about colors and sororities. So I think it's opened up a great door for the healing, and healing has definitely begun.
Nice. So now I'll bring in Danny Stone's question because I know we're going to start running down on time here. Danny is asking, how can black men support black women more in the challenges they face?
Shut up and listen.
Anything
because
on
because the,
top
the, the thing is that we men are fixers. This is by nature. This is what we do. We want to fix things and make things proper the way and we should. But sometimes I've learned from women that sometimes they don't need fixing. They just need someone to listen, and that means just showing the hell up and shutting up. Just being there in the presence. Your presence is sometimes more than enough for sisters. But just being able to be open to listen to sisters.
how do you feel? How different do you feel at the completion of number two compared to the completion of number one?
I'm nervous. Really, I am, man. I'm kind of nervous about this one. Um, in a good kind of way. Um, I was God led, God fed with this one, as like the others, but this one is special, man. This one's special. I can't wait to see what the audience has to say about this. I'm waiting to hear conversations. Um, so we have like this tour going on. I said we start, in LA, and Oakland, California on March 14th. On March 15th, we're in Atlanta at the Fox Theater. And then March 29th, we're in Charlotte at the Evans Auditorium. So, and then we go on to Dallas and Houston, New York, DC, Chicago, Detroit, Paris, London.
Wow. And it's interesting. Before we came on live, I was telling Chan about a great supporter of the Dr. Vibe show, Dr. Tachi, and some of you may know. And Dr. Tachi is actually a soror herself.
Mm.
So I will make sure to share this information with her community in regards to viewing this film.
Yeah, we need all soldiers on the field.
Absolutely. What do you want men to get from Dark Girls 2?
What's the takeaway from Men for Dark Girls 2?
What do you want the takeaway to be?
Hmm. That the oh maybe this might be it. We men have damn near destroyed the two things that give us life:
Okay.
the planet and women.
Wow.
And until women are healed, we won't be healed as men.
Wow. That's serious. And what what do you want women to get from number 2?
That there's more than hope. There is serious healing, and you can be healed. You can be whole again. You can have a beautiful, perfect life and be strong and loving and make better choices in mates and not fall for the okey doke for brothers who want to use you sexually because you have the body and the face, but you don't have the skin color that's right to go out in light.
Mhm. Pardon me. Danny Stone is saying on Facebook, I love it. True, we are fixers. I agree. They just need us to listen. And he's saying, I'm getting better at just listening.
Amen.
That
Amen.
is that
Amen.
very huge. Um, big dream here.
Mm.
If you had the big vision for number 2, what would that big vision be? What would you like to say? I love number 2 to be blank.
I would love number two to reach way beyond my dreams in terms of the people who will see this and be healed by it.
It's interesting, my brother. I know you've always been deep, but the word healing has come up a lot in this conversation.
Yes.
And
I think
I'm just speaking it that number 2 will start providing the healing that's so necessary with black women and black men.
we're broken people, man. Doc, we're broken people, not just African Americans, but Black people around the planet. We're broken people. And we need to regain our greatness, our highest selves, because what we could do, and people know what we can do if we just pull it together. But there needs some psychological healing that needs to be done, some spiritual healing that needs to be done. We need to recognize that what we're doing and how we're living is not normal. How we're being treated is not normal. How we're relating to one another is not normal. And once we recognize that and fix that in ourselves, then we can have a decent conversation with our brothers and sisters. And then, boom, done. That's what I think.
Yeah. How has Dark Girls changed you?
You know, all my projects change me. You know, I get I think I try to become a better human being, period. Because, I mean, it's a blessing for people to sit down and open up to you. I know so much more, but knowing so much more is that I know absolutely know nothing. That's what I found out. And I'm curious. I am cautiously curious.
Okay. Well, I think on that note, we're going to call it an evening. Chan, I'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time to share with us. This is long overdue.
Yes, sir. Man, this is always, like I said, it's always been great. Um, Thank you so much for just being you and doing what you do.
I
And,
received.
and I thank you and I respect your gift.
Well, thank you. You've been one of the people that have been there since back there. You're an OG Dr. Vibe supporter, my friend. You're an OG.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let me ask, if people want to find out more about Dark Girls 2, and if there's any way they can support, like, God willing, it can come up here to Canada, but how can people find out more, support, etc.?
There is a website, I think it's the official
Yep.com.
darkgirls2.com. And then there's Facebook. I'm on Facebook constantly. So if you go to just D.Channsin Berry on Facebook and friend me, uh, and then you can follow me on Instagram also.
And what's D.Channsin Berry on Instagram?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
One other thing, I'd like you to shout out some people who helped make this happen. You did mention Oprah Winfrey. I
Mm.
know that you probably had some others. I really, if you have some time, just shout out some of the people that have helped make this number two a reality.
Wow. I mean, there's so many people that that bless me with their presence, finance, spirit. My film crew, my production crew, my post production crew. Man, I got the best people, bro. I got the best working with the best brothers and sisters, man. I'm telling you. From Los Angeles to New York, my buddy Mark Cohen, um, um, Lawrence Dennis out of Chicago, Dave Malman and Steve Farrier and Gary Wright and Jose Smith here in Los Angeles, Philip Allen and Melisha, my co-producer out of Nashville, Tennessee, and it's just so many, man. It's just I got a great crew. My main man, Braden French, who's my genius editor and co-producer. Just brilliant people, along with Sister Oprah, Richard Roundtree, Shaka Khan, um, Danny Glover. Uh,
Oh,
just wonderful, wonderful spirits around me. My wife, my children, my close friends. They have been able there to lend me their time and ear and hearts and minds and wallets to help make this come to fruition.
well, it's Dark Girls 2. A number of different places are getting some special screenings before it goes on the OWN network. What date is it going on the OWN network, D? Chan?
April 1st.
April 1st.
On
And that will be a special moment, and we're looking forward to it. If you want to find out more information, we'll put it up in the post for the replay of this epic conversation. But the first place you should go to is officialdarkgirls2.com, and that will lead you to everything. So, as usual, Chan, I'd like to say thank you. Also, want to say thank you to the people who helped make this an epic conversation live. Uh, Individuals like Danny Stone, thank you so much. Brian Lobig, thank you so much, Brian. Have not seen you in a long time. Much appreciated. I'm just checking if there's anyone else I need to give a shout out. There were some people on Periscope, some people on Facebook, some people on YouTube. If I don't mention you, it's because of my head, not my heart. So thank you for making an epic conversation. As always, I like to close out with live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Next up, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. After that, block assumptions. And then finally, I say aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. If you want to find out more information about me, the best place to go is my website, the drvibeshow.com. I'd like to thank everyone who watched and listened to this live on the replay. The next epic conversation coming up, we're broadcasting live on February 13th. Also, happy Valentine's Day for people who celebrate it. But remember, Valentine's Day is every day. And I put this challenge out. I don't know if I'll have the replay up in time, but why don't you on Valentine's Day give someone or say I love you to someone who you haven't in a long time? That would be an important thing. Next epic conversation coming up on the Dr. Vibe Show is going to be on February 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On February 9th, myself and Kinte Ferguson, who's based in California, we hosted a conversation about the whole Gail Kobe situation where Gail King interviewed Lisa Leslie, asked her questions about her Kobe's alleged rape case, etc. And that created a bomb. Snoop Dogg got involved, Bill Cosby got involved, Susan Rice got involved, Oprah Winfrey got involved, and I guess yesterday a formal apology by Snoop Dogg was given by him to Gail King. But there were so many people who said, I missed out on the conversation. We need to have it more. So we're going to be doing part two on February 16th at 9 p.m. at this same place. So please follow me and get the update on when we're having it. And I expect you to be part of that conversation. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And as we say, walk good. And go see Dark. Go get, if your Dark Ghosts come to your city, catch it. If not, April 1st, you know where to be. I mean, I'm going to see if I don't broadcast that night so I don't give any competition to Chan. Good night, everybody.
Good night.